The Council's deceit. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council shimmered with golden lights, a symbol of unity among the stars. Today was a historic day for humanity. For the first time, Earth had been invited to join the prestigious council, a coalition of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. Delegates from countless species filled the chamber, their vibrant forms and unique voices creating a symphony of alien life. At the center stood Dr. Elena Marcus, Earth's representative, her face glowing with pride. Elena began her speech, her voice steady and filled with hope. Today, humanity takes its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as partners. Together, we can achieve wonders beyond imagination. The room erupted in applause, but behind the facade of celebration, the council's true leaders, shadowy figures seated in a private chamber, watched the event with cold, calculating eyes. "Humans are too ambitious," whispered Krellis, a reptilian council elder. His scaled hand tapped rhythmically on the table. "Their technology advances too quickly. Their species has a history of war and rebellion. They are a threat." Another elder, a being of pure energy known as Salin, pulsed with agitation. "We have kept this galaxy stable for centuries by suppressing rising powers. Humanity must not upset the balance." In that hidden chamber, the decision was made. Humanity would not be allowed to rise further, but to maintain their image as peacekeepers, the Council needed a scapegoat. Days later, humanity's first colony outside the solar system, Novus Prime, was bustling with activity. Scientists and settlers worked together, building a bright future among the stars. Families laughed, children played, and the skies above were filled with the hum of exploration vessels. But then it happened. Without warning, the colony was attacked. Massive ships with unknown markings descended from hyperspace, firing destructive beams that reduced buildings to rubble. The defense systems, still incomplete, were no match for the overwhelming assault. Colonel Jared Price, head of the colony's defense, sent a desperate message to Earth. "This is Novus Prime. We are under attack. They're everywhere. We need..." His voice was drowned out by an explosion, and the transmission ended abruptly. On Earth, panic spread. The news of the attack shocked humanity. Who could have done this? Why? In an emergency meeting, Earth's leaders demanded answers from the Galactic Council. The Council convened in their usual Grand Hall. Elena Marcus, shaken but determined, stood before them. "We demand to know who is responsible for this unprovoked attack on innocent lives." Salin, glowing with an aura of calm authority, replied, "We have identified the attackers. A rogue faction of the Zilari, a race of mercenaries long exiled from civilized space. They acted without the Council's knowledge or approval. The Council promised to take action, but behind the scenes, they celebrated their success. The Zilari had been framed perfectly. Humanity's wrath would be directed at a powerless scapegoat, while the true orchestrators of the attack remained hidden. On Earth, Captain Adrian Vale of the United Nations Space Fleet was tasked with leading an investigation. Adrian was a seasoned officer, known for his sharp mind and unshakable loyalty. He examined the evidence provided by the Council, but couldn't shake a feeling of unease. Something didn't add up. In a private meeting, Adrian shared his doubts with Elena. The attack was too precise, too well coordinated. The Zilari don't have the resources for something like this, and these energy signatures, they match Council technology. Elena's eyes widened. "Are you saying the Council could be involved?" Adrian hesitated but nodded. "I can't prove it yet, but if they are, we're dealing with a much bigger threat than we imagined." Their conversation was interrupted by an encrypted message on Adrian's console. The sender was unknown, but the message was clear. "The Council is not what it seems. Trust no one. They are watching." Adrian and Elena stared at the screen, the weight of the warning sinking in. If the Council truly was behind the attack, humanity's place in the galaxy was more precarious than anyone had realized. As the meeting ended, the Council elders gathered once more in their secret chamber. Kralus smirked. "The humans are angry, but they will strike the Zilari, as we intended. Their fleet will be stretched thin, and their resources drained." Saylan's energy pulsed in agreement. "When the time is right, we will deliver the final blow. Humanity's rise will end before it begins." But even in their confidence, the Council underestimated the resilience of their newest members. Humanity had been betrayed, but they would not remain in the dark for long. Suspicion was growing, and seeds of rebellion were taking root. Cliffhanger. Back on Earth, Adrian receives a distress signal. It's faint and filled with static, but one chilling phrase cuts through. "Beware the Council. They're coming for you next." Shadows in the stars. The Resolute, humanity's flagship cruiser, cut through the vastness of space like a gleaming spear. Captain Adrian Vale stood on the bridge, his sharp eyes fixed on the holographic display. The ship was en route to Novus Prime, now little more than a smoldering graveyard. His orders were clear: investigate the attack and bring back answers. But Adrian had a feeling this mission would raise more questions than it answered. "Approaching the Novus system," reported Lieutenant Harper, the ship's navigator. The tension on the bridge was palpable. "Prepare for scanning," Adrian ordered. "I want every detail, no matter how small." As the Resolute neared the colony, the devastation became clear. Novus Prime was unrecognizable. Its once thriving habitats were reduced to rubble, and the planet's atmosphere glowed faintly with the radiation of recent energy weapon discharges. "Captain, I'm detecting residual energy signatures," said Chief Engineer Patel, his voice grim. "They match Council-grade weaponry." Adrian's suspicions deepened. "Log it. We need undeniable proof." The crew began their investigation, deploying drones to scour the ruins. Among the wreckage, Adrian's team discovered fragments of alien ships. The markings on the debris matched those of the Zilari. But something was off. The pieces were too pristine, almost as if they had been deliberately planted. Meanwhile, Dr. Elena Marcus was back at the Galactic Council's headquarters, sifting through mountains of records. The Council had granted her access to help with her inquiry, but she knew this was a trap. They expected her to find nothing, but Elena was determined. Late one night, her diligence paid off. Buried deep in old Council reports, she found a classified document. It outlined an initiative called Operation Starlight Suppression, a plan to eliminate civilizations that showed signs of becoming too powerful. The document was vague, but hinted at the Council's use of proxy forces to carry out their dirty work. Elena's hands trembled. This was proof the Council wasn't as benevolent as they claimed. She needed to get this information to Adrian. Back at Novus Prime, Adrian's team uncovered something even more shocking. A black box from one of the Zilari ships. Patel worked tirelessly to decrypt it, and when he did, the truth was chilling. "It's a flight log," Patel said, his face pale. "This ship didn't come from Zilari space. It launched from a Council-controlled system." Adrian clenched his fists. "They framed the Zilari. The Council attacked our colony." Before they could act on this discovery, the ship's alarms blared. "Incoming vessels," shouted Harper. "Unidentified. Closing fast." The Resolute's crew scrambled to their stations as three sleek, black ships emerged from hyperspace. Their designs were unlike anything humanity had encountered before, but Adrian recognized the deadly efficiency of Council engineering. "They're jamming our communications," said Harper. "We can't call for backup." "Shields up," Adrian barked. "Prepare to engage." The attackers moved with precision, targeting the Resolute's engines and weapon systems. Adrian realized they weren't trying to destroy the ship. They wanted to silence it. "Launch countermeasures," Adrian ordered, "and send a drone with our findings back to Earth. Even if we don't make it, the truth will." The battle was fierce. The Resolute managed to disable one of the enemy ships, but the remaining two pressed the attack. Just as it seemed the Resolute would be overwhelmed, an unexpected ally arrived. A massive weathered freighter dropped out of hyperspace, its hull covered in crude but effective modifications. It unleashed a barrage of firepower, forcing the Council ships to retreat. "Captain Vale," came a voice over the comms. "You've made some powerful enemies. We need to talk." Adrian met his mysterious savior aboard the freighter. Its captain was a grizzled alien named Xarek, an exile from the Council's inner circle. Xarek revealed he had been part of their secret operations before defecting. "The Council has been doing this for centuries," Xarek said. "They manipulate, destroy, and control anyone who could challenge their power. Your species was too promising. You scared them." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Why help us?" Xarek leaned forward, his eyes glowing faintly. "Because I know what happens next. They'll send an annihilation fleet to Earth, and they won't stop until humanity is erased." Adrian felt the weight of Xarek's words. The Council wasn't just covering their tracks. They were preparing for war. Back on Earth, Alina received an encrypted transmission from Adrian. The flight log, Xarek's warning, and her own discovery painted a grim picture. Humanity had been deceived, but now they knew the truth. Cliffhanger. As Alina prepared to present her findings to Earth's leaders, her datapad beeped with a new alert. A massive fleet had just entered the edge of the solar system. Council ships, armed and ready. Earth was running out of time. The hidden agenda. The Resolute limped back to Earth, its hull scared and engines barely functional. Captain Adrian Vale sat in the dimly lit command room, going over the data they'd gathered from Novus Prime. The flight log, the Council's secret weaponry, and Xarek's testimony all pointed to the same grim conclusion. The Galactic Council had orchestrated the attack. Now, they were coming for Earth. In the Galactic Council's Grand Chamber, the Council elders discussed their next move. Krelus leaned forward, his forked tongue flicking the air. "The humans are more resourceful than we anticipated," he said. "Their fleet survived the ambush, and they are beginning to piece together the truth." Salen, the elder of pure energy, pulsed ominously. "Then we must act quickly. If humanity shares this information, it could fracture the Council's power." They activated a secret beacon, sending a message to a human traitor within Earth's leadership. "Ensure the humans remain divided. Delay their preparations. We need time to deploy the Annihilation Fleet." Back on Earth, Dr. Elena Marcus presented her findings to the United Nations Space Command. The room was filled with generals, scientists, and diplomats. A hologram displayed the Council's classified operation files and the falsified evidence against the Zilari. "This is proof that the Galactic Council is not our ally," Elena declared. "They attacked our colony and framed the Zilari to justify wiping us out. We must act now." The room erupted in arguments. Some leaders called for immediate retaliation, while others hesitated. Among them was Defense Minister Callum Drake, a respected but enigmatic figure. He advocated caution. "We cannot be hasty," Drake said. "The Council commands forces far greater than ours. If we provoke them, we risk total annihilation." Elena stared at him, suspicion creeping into her mind. Drake's resistance felt too deliberate, too rehearsed. Meanwhile, Adrian and his crew worked tirelessly to repair the Resolute. Xarek, the alien defector, shared vital intel about the Council's secret projects. "They have an advanced fleet hidden in the Tyrex Nebula," Xarek explained. "Their ships are equipped with weapons that can destabilize a planet's core. They don't just conquer, they erase civilizations." Adrian clenched his fists. "Then we need to hit them before they hit us." But Xarek shook his head. "Their fleet is too strong. Your only chance is to expose their crimes to the galaxy. If other species rise against them, humanity might stand a chance." Adrian's mind raced. They needed proof. Something undeniable that would turn the galaxy against the Council. Elena, still suspicious of Minister Drake, began investigating his activities. Late one night, she hacked into his encrypted communications. What she found was chilling. Drake had been exchanging messages with a council operative, providing them with details of Earth's defenses and stalling the construction of the Vengeance fleet. Drake wasn't just hesitant. He was a traitor. Alina immediately contacted Adrian. "We've been compromised. Drake is working with the council. If we don't act fast, Earth won't stand a chance." Adrian grimaced. "We'll handle Drake, but we need to focus on the bigger picture. Zarek has a plan to uncover the council's darkest secrets." Zarek led Adrian and a small strike team on a daring mission to a remote council research facility. The facility, hidden on a barren moon, housed records of the council's secret operations, including the attack on Novus Prime. The team infiltrated the facility under the cover of darkness. Inside, they found rows of servers storing centuries of classified data. As Zarek began downloading the files, alarms blared. Council guards swarmed the facility, their sleek weapons glowing ominously. "Hold them off," Adrian shouted as he and his team engaged the enemy. The firefight was brutal. Adrian's crew used every trick they had learned from years of training, but the council's soldiers were relentless, just as it seemed they would be overwhelmed. Zarek shouted, "I've got it. Let's go." The team fought their way to their ship, narrowly escaping as the facility's automated defenses activated. Explosions rocked the moon as they blasted into hyperspace. Back on Earth, Alina confronted Drake in his private office. She presented the evidence of his betrayal, her voice steady, but laced with anger. "You sold us out," she said. "How much did the council pay you to betray your own people?" Drake smirked, his calm demeanor chilling. "You don't understand, Dr. Marcus. Humanity's survival depends on submission. The council is too powerful. Resistance is suicide." Before Alina could respond, Drake activated a silent alarm. Guards stormed in, but Alina was prepared. She triggered a hidden escape plan, evading capture and transmitting the evidence of Drake's betrayal to Adrian. As Adrian reviewed the files from the council's research facility, his blood ran cold. The data confirmed not only the council's role in the attack on Novus Prime, but also their long-term plans for humanity. They had a timeline for Earth's destruction, and it was terrifyingly short. Cliffhanger. Adrian's console lit up with an urgent message. The council's annihilation fleet was mobilizing, and it was heading straight for Earth. They had less than 48 hours to prepare. Rallying the defiant. The Earth Defense Network buzzed with frantic energy as Adrian Vale and Dr. Alina Marcus briefed humanity's leadership. The countdown had begun minus 48 hours until the Galactic Council's annihilation fleet reached Earth. The stakes had never been higher, and humanity was woefully outgunned. "We need to mobilize every ship, every soldier, every ounce of resistance we can muster," Adrian declared, slamming his fist on the holotape. "If we wait, we die." But the room was filled with hesitation. Minister Callum Drake, now exposed as a traitor, had created widespread doubt among Earth's leadership. Many feared the Council's overwhelming power. Dr. Marcus took a step forward, her voice cutting through the noise. "The Council wants us to believe we're powerless. But we are not. Humanity has always thrived in the face of impossible odds. We have allies, ones who know the Council's cruelty firsthand. It's time to unite the galaxy against them." Her words ignited a spark of hope. It wasn't just Earth's survival at stake. It was the chance to dismantle the Council's tyranny once and for all. Adrian divided humanity's forces into 3 crucial missions. The first was to finish assembling the Vengeance fleet, a secret armada of experimental warships built in deep space shipyards. The fleet was Earth's ace in the hole, but sabotage from Drake's operatives had left it incomplete. Commander Lei Tanaka, a brilliant but unpredictable engineer, was tasked with repairing the fleet. Adrian contacted her personally. "We don't have time for perfection," Adrian said. "We need those ships operational in 24 hours. Tanaka smirked. "Perfection's overrated. I'll give you a fleet that can tear through stars." Meanwhile, Dr. Marcus and Xeric embarked on a diplomatic mission to rally support from alien species oppressed by the Council. Their first stop was a mining colony of the Kryn, an insectoid species once proud warriors, now reduced to laborers under the Council's rule. The Kryn leader, Falkesh, was skeptical. "Humans are new to the stars. Why should we risk everything for you?" Elena didn't flinch, because this isn't just about humanity. The Council has crushed your people, and they'll do the same to anyone who dares to rise. Join us, and together we can end their reign. Xeric stepped forward, his voice low but powerful. "I was part of the Council's machine. I saw what they did to the Kryn, the Zilari, and countless others. This is your chance to fight back." Falkesh's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Finally, he extended a claw. "We will fight, not just for you, but for the freedom we lost." As alliances formed across the stars, Adrian led the third mission, a covert strike on a Council outpost deep in the Tyrex Nebula. Intelligence suggested the outpost held a prototype superweapon capable of destroying Earth in a single blow. Disabling it was non-negotiable. The Resolute, still battered from its last battle, carried Adrian and a hand-picked team of specialists into the nebula. The journey was treacherous. The nebula's unstable energy fields wreaked havoc on their systems. "Looks like the Council chose this spot for a reason," muttered Lieutenant Harper as the ship dodged another plasma storm. When they reached the outpost, it was heavily fortified. Adrian's team infiltrated the facility using stolen Council codes. Inside, they found the weapon, a colossal orbital cannon powered by dark matter. As Adrian studied the weapon's control systems, alarms blared. The Council had detected their presence. "Set the charges," Adrian shouted. "We need to destroy this thing now." The team worked quickly, but Council soldiers poured into the facility. The firefight was brutal, with Adrian's crew narrowly holding the line. Just as the charges were armed, a Council commander confronted Adrian. "You think destroying this weapon will save your world?" The commander sneered. "We have dozens more." Adrian didn't hesitate. "Then we'll destroy them all." The charges detonated, engulfing the facility in a massive explosion. The Resolute barely escaped, limping back to Allied space with crucial intel. The Council's fleet relied on a network of superweapons. Disabling them would give Earth a fighting chance. Back on Earth, the Vengeance fleet finally came online. Tanaka had delivered on her promise. Sleek, heavily armed ships filled the skies, each one a testament to humanity's ingenuity and resilience. As the allied fleets of the Kryn, Zilari, and other species arrived, Earth's defenses swelled. The Galactic Council's narrative of humanity as a rogue, isolated species was crumbling. Cliffhanger. On the eve of battle, Adrian received an encrypted message from a Council insider. It contained the fleet's attack plan, but also a chilling revelation. The Council had planted spies within the Allied forces. One of humanity's closest allies was about to betray them. Fire and fury. The Allied fleet assembled in orbit above Earth, a stunning and defiant array of ships from dozens of species. Humanity's experimental Vengeance fleet formed the vanguard, its sleek designs radiating deadly potential. Among them flew the heavy cruisers of the Kryn, the swift corvettes of the Zilari, and the battle-scarred vessels of countless other species who had suffered under the Galactic Council's iron grip. Together, they were a symbol of rebellion and hope. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Adrian Vale stared at the tactical display. The Council's Annihilation Fleet had just entered the solar system. Its size was staggering. Thousands of warships equipped with planet-destroying firepower. Adrian knew the odds were against them, but there was no room for hesitation. "Status report," Adrian barked. Commander Harper replied grimly. "The enemy fleet is splitting into 3 groups. 2 are advancing toward Earth. The 3rd is hanging back, likely protecting their superweapon." Adrian nodded. "We'll divide our forces. The Vengeance fleet will hold the line at Earth while the Allies target their secondary fleet. I'll lead a strike team to take out that superweapon. The Betrayal. As the fleets maneuvered into position, Dr. Elena Marcus worked from a secure bunker on Earth. Her task was to coordinate intelligence and monitor for signs of the traitor within their ranks. The Council's spies had been quiet so far, but Elena knew the calm wouldn't last. The first sign of trouble came when a Kryn battleship, the Claw of Honor, abruptly broke formation and fired on one of Earth's orbital defense platforms. The shock rippled through the Allied ranks. "This is Elena Marcus to all forces," she shouted into the comms. "We have a traitor. The Claw of Honor is compromised. Do not trust their fleet." The betrayal was devastating. Several Kryn ships turned against their allies, causing chaos in the already fragile coordination. But Thalkesh, the Kryn leader who had pledged his support, stepped forward. "These are not my people," Thalkesh declared. "This is the Council's poison at work. Loyal Kryn, follow me. We will purge this corruption." Under Thalkesh's leadership, the loyal Kryn forces turned on their rogue kin, engaging in brutal ship-to-ship combat, even as the Council fleet closed in. The battle within a battle threatened to tear the Alliance apart. The defense of Earth. The Council's vanguard clashed with the Vengeance fleet in a spectacle of fire and destruction. Adrian had entrusted Rear Admiral Lei Tanaka with commanding Earth's defensive line. Her unconventional tactics kept the Council off balance. "Launch the decoy drones," Tanaka ordered. "Make them think we're weaker than we are." The drones mimicked the signatures of full-sized ships, drawing enemy fire and sowing confusion. Meanwhile, the Vengeance fleet's advanced weaponry punched through the Council's lines, taking out several dreadnoughts. But the Council's forces were relentless. Their ships swarmed like a tide, and their weapons began to overwhelm Earth's orbital defenses. Tanaka gritted her teeth as she watched the fleet's casualties rise. "We can't hold them forever," she muttered. "Adrian, you better disable that superweapon soon." The assault on the superweapon. Adrian led a strike team aboard the Resolute, accompanied by Xeric and a hand-picked crew of elite operatives. Their target was the Council's flagship, Ecliptor, which housed the superweapon, a device capable of destabilizing Earth's core with a single strike. The Resolute plunged into the heart of the enemy formation, dodging and weaving through a storm of fire. Xeric guided them toward the Ecliptor, using his knowledge of Council tactics to exploit gaps in their defenses. "Brace for impact," Adrian shouted as the Resolute took a direct hit. The ship shuddered, but its reinforced hull held. Moments later, they docked with the Ecliptor. The strike team breached the flagship's hull, entering a maze of cold, metallic corridors. The ship's defenses were formidable. Automated turrets and elite Council soldiers blocked their path at every turn. "We're running out of time," Xeric growled as he disabled the security system. "The superweapon is charging." Adrian pushed forward, his determination unshakable. "Then we keep moving." The final push. As the team reached the weapon's core, they found it surrounded by an energy shield powered by massive generators. Disabling the shield required accessing terminals spread across the ship, a near-impossible task under constant fire. Xeric and the operatives split into smaller groups to handle the terminals while Adrian provided cover. The team worked with precision, but the Council's forces were relentless. One by one, the shield generators fell, and the core was exposed. "Detonate the charges," Adrian ordered, placing the last explosive himself. Before they could escape, a towering Council commander blocked their path. His armor glowed with energy, and his voice was filled with disdain. "You think you can defy the Council? Your species will burn." Adrian stood his ground. "Not today." In a desperate, brutal fight, Adrian and his team managed to defeat the commander. With seconds to spare, they boarded the Resolute and escaped as the superweapon detonated in a fiery explosion. Cliffhanger. As the Allied fleet cheered the destruction of the Ecliptor, a chilling message cut through their comms. It was Salen, the energy elder of the council. You've won this battle, but the war is far from over. Humanity will learn what happens to those who defy the council. From the shadows of space, a second, even larger fleet began to emerge. The true scale of the council's power was revealed, and the final battle was only just beginning. The last stand. The message from Salin echoed through the comms, sending chills through the Allied fleet. The Galactic Council's second wave wasn't just a fleet. It was a monstrous armada, far larger and more advanced than anything they had faced before. The Allies had fought valiantly, but the true test of their resolve was now upon them. Earth on the brink. On Earth, the once celebratory mood in command centers shifted to grim determination. Dr. Elena Marcus stood before the Planetary Defense Council, projecting the scale of the new threat. The holographic display showed thousands of incoming ships, each marked with lethal capabilities. "We've bought ourselves time, but it won't be enough," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "We need a new strategy. If this second fleet reaches Earth, it's over." Admiral Tanaka, now leading Earth's defense, leaned forward. "What do you suggest, Doctor?" "Diplomacy isn't an option." Elena hesitated before revealing the desperate plan she and Adrian had conceived. "We need to turn their own power against them. The Council's fleets rely on centralized command nodes. Salin is one of them. If we can disable or destroy those nodes, their fleet will fall into disarray." The room fell silent. The idea was risky, almost suicidal, but it was the only path to survival. A desperate alliance. The Allied fleet regrouped near Europa, Earth's last staging ground before the final battle. Amid the chaos, new faces joined the fight. Small factions of defectors from the Council's own ranks had seen the destruction of the Ecliptor and decided to side with the rebellion. Among them was Myra, a former Council fleet commander with intimate knowledge of their strategies. She approached Adrian aboard the Resolute. "I can guide you to Salin's ship," Myra said. "But you'll need more than courage to take him down. The Council's elders are different. Their technology is tied to their very existence." Adrian raised an eyebrow. "How different are we talking?" "They're nearly immortal," Myra explained. "Their ships are extensions of themselves, controlled by their thoughts. If you want to kill Salin, you'll need to sever that connection." Adrian nodded. "Then we'll find a way. We always do." The battle begins. The Council's second fleet arrived in a horrifying display of power. Their ships, dark and gleaming, formed an unbreakable wall that advanced steadily toward Earth. The Allies struck first, using guerrilla tactics to create chaos. The Kryn warriors fought with a vengeance. The Zilari ships darted in and out like angry hornets, and the Vengeance fleet's cutting-edge weaponry punched holes in the enemy lines. Despite their efforts, the Council's forces pressed forward. Massive dreadnoughts unleashed devastating firepower, tearing through the Allied ships. Casualties mounted on both sides. Amid the chaos, Adrian's strike team aboard the Resolute made their move. Guided by Myra, they weaved through the enemy fleet, heading directly for Salin's flagship, Eminence, a massive vessel pulsing with ethereal energy. The showdown. Boarding the Eminence was unlike anything Adrian's team had experienced. The ship was alive, its walls shifting and pulsing as if it were a living organism. Salin's voice echoed through the corridors, calm and mocking. "You should have stayed on your little planet," Salin said. "Your defiance is amusing, but futile." Zarek growled. "Ignore him. He wants to unsettle us." The team pushed forward, encountering relentless resistance from Council soldiers and automated defenses. Every step felt like a battle against the ship itself, as it adapted to their movements and tactics. Finally, they reached Salin's command chamber. The Elder's glowing form hovered above a massive energy cord that pulsed with every word he spoke. "You've come so far," Salin said, his tone almost pitying. "But this is the end." The fight for the future. The battle against Salin was unlike anything Adrian had faced. Salin wielded energy as if it were an extension of his body, creating shields, weapons, and illusions. Every strike from Adrian's team was countered with devastating precision. "We can't fight him directly," Myra shouted. "We need to overload the core. It's the source of his power." Adrian ordered Xarek and the others to plant explosives around the core, while he and Mira distracted Salen. The Elder's attacks grew more erratic as he realized their plan, but his power remained overwhelming. "You cannot defeat the Council," Salen snarled. "We are eternal." Adrian fired a blast that shattered one of Salen's shields. "Eternity ends today." As the last explosive was armed, Salen lunged toward Adrian, his energy crackling with rage. At the last second, Myra stepped in, taking the full brunt of the attack to give Adrian time to activate the detonator. The explosion rocked the eminence, sending shockwaves through the fleet. Salen's form flickered and disintegrated, his connection to the ship severed. The flagship began to collapse, and Adrian's team barely escaped aboard the Resolute. Turning the tide. With Salen gone, the Council's fleet faltered. Ships lost coordination, their movements erratic and vulnerable. The Allied forces pressed their advantage, overwhelming the disorganized enemy. On Earth, cheers erupted as the Council's dreadnoughts retreated. Humanity and its allies had turned the impossible into reality, but the victory was bittersweet. The cost had been immense, and the war was far from over. Cliffhanger. As the Council's fleet retreated, a final message broadcast across the galaxy. It was Krellis, the reptilian elder. "You think this is over? You have merely delayed the inevitable. The Council will rise again, and when we do, there will be no mercy." The Allies had won the battle, but the war for the galaxy's freedom had only just begun. Vengeance ascends. The Council's fleet limped away from Earth's orbit, leaving trails of fire and debris scattered across the void. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council had been dealt a humiliating defeat. Yet victory came at a heavy cost. Thousands of ships were destroyed, countless lives lost, and Earth's defenses were in shambles. In the aftermath of battle, the Allies gathered on Luna Station to decide their next move. Adrian Vale, Dr. Elena Marcus, and Falkesh stood at the center of the War Council, surrounded by representatives from every species that had joined the fight. "This isn't over," Adrian began, his voice resolute. "We've shown the Council we won't back down, but they'll return, stronger and angrier. We can't afford to wait for them to rebuild." Falkesh's mandibles clicked in agreement. The Council's strength lies in their unity. If we strike now, we can fracture their ranks and free the galaxy from their tyranny. Elena stepped forward, her gaze sharp. "We have the intel from Salen's ship. It reveals the locations of their central command nodes and supply chains. If we dismantle their infrastructure, we can weaken them for good." Unlikely allies. To take the fight to the Council, the Allies needed to grow their coalition. Adrian and Xarek led a delegation to the volatile Rakiri, a nomadic species feared for their brutal raids. The Rakiri had never allied with anyone, their reputation steeped in blood and conquest. The Rakiri warlord, Karnak, greeted them aboard his colossal warship with a growling laugh. "Humans and their friends want my help. Bold, but foolish. What can you offer the Rakiri?" Adrian didn't flinch. "The Council has treated your people as outlaws for centuries. Fight with us, and you'll be free to rule your own space without interference." Karnak's crimson eyes narrowed. "And if we refuse?" Vidarik stepped forward, his voice a low growl. "Then when the Council falls, the Rakiri will be next. You'll be isolated, and no one will come to your aid." Karnak roared with laughter, then extended a clawed hand. "I like your fire, human. The Rakiri will join your war, but we do not follow orders. We fight our own way." The final offensive. With the Rakiri's warships and new allies pouring in, the Alliance launched its boldest operation yet, a direct assault on the Galactic Council's primary stronghold, Yeon Spire. The station was a fortress, hidden in the event horizon of a black hole. Its defenses were legendary, and its destruction would shatter the Council's control over the galaxy. Adrian addressed the Allied fleet from the Resolute. "This is it. The Council has ruled through fear and deception for centuries. Today, we show the galaxy that their time is over. We fight not just for Earth, but for every world that has suffered under their tyranny. Let's finish this." The fleet surged toward the Aeon Spire, navigating the black hole's treacherous gravity wells. Council ships swarmed to meet them, their numbers overwhelming. But the Allies had something the Council didn't: a unified purpose. Inside the Aeon Spire, while the fleets clashed outside, Adrian led a daring infiltration team into the Aeon Spire. The mission was simple: disable the station's shields and overload its power core. Alina and Xeric joined him, each playing a critical role. Inside, the station was a labyrinth of shimmering corridors and lethal traps. Automated turrets fired at intruders, and Council guards engaged them in fierce combat. Xeric's knowledge of Council designs and Alina's quick thinking kept them one step ahead. As they reached the shield generator, an unexpected figure appeared: Krellis, the reptilian elder. His imposing form blocked their path, his golden armor glowing faintly. "You've come far," Krellis said, his voice cold. "But this ends here. Humanity will not survive." Adrian raised his weapon. "We've already survived more than you expected. Your time is up." The fight against Krellis was brutal. The Elder's strength and speed were beyond anything they had encountered before. He wielded a blade of energy that sliced through walls, forcing Adrian and his team to fight strategically. In the end, it was Xeric who delivered the final blow, impaling Krellis with a salvaged Council weapon. With Krellis defeated, they activated the overload sequence. The station began to tremble as its core destabilized. The sacrifice. As the team raced back to their ship, Alina noticed something alarming on her datapad. The station's core had a failsafe that would trigger a chain reaction, consuming the black hole and everything within light years, including the Allied fleet. "There's no way to stop it remotely," Alina said, panic in her voice. "Someone has to stay behind to deactivate the failsafe." Adrian stepped forward without hesitation. "Go, I'll handle it." Alina grabbed his arm. "No, Adrian, you can't." He cut her off with a small smile. "This is what I signed up for. Get out of here, Alina. Finish what we started." As the team escaped, Adrian remained behind, working frantically to deactivate the failsafe. His final transmission echoed through the fleet: "Stay strong. Stay united. The galaxy is counting on you." The Aeon Spire erupted in a blinding explosion, collapsing into the black hole and taking Adrian with it. But his sacrifice had bought the Allies the victory they needed. A new dawn. With the destruction of the Aeon Spire and the deaths of the Council's elders, their fleet collapsed into disarray. The Allied forces swept through the remaining Council strongholds, liberating enslaved worlds and dismantling the Council's infrastructure. Dr. Elena Marcus became the voice of the new alliance, addressing the galaxy from a united council of free species. "Today, we stand together as equals. No longer will fear and tyranny rule our stars. This is the dawn of a new era, one of hope, freedom, and unity." Ending scene. As the camera pans over the liberated galaxy, a single monument is shown on Earth. It bears Adrian Vale's name, alongside a simple inscription: "He fought for us all.